out of the box or out of the wall, wherever you want to call it, we have winner, Miss Peregrine's Home for Particular Children in 3D. Have I seen this movie before? Absolutely not. Oh no, Evergreen is a pretty hot lady and is directed by Tim Burton. Am I going to enjoy this YA story? Will it have the Tim Burton-esque awesomeness or weirdness to it? Let's find out. First off, gotta put my 3D glasses on. Here we go. Chase Doc with the blue futon reviewing Miss Peregrine. Miss Peregrine. Everyone knows she's a bird. Home of particular children. What's this about? It's a very simple premise, actually. We have a boy with a grandpa who tells him crazy stories about his past, about these monsters, these people with no eyes, these kids that could have bees in their bodies, that can float, that need lead shoes, that could morph random things into weird, crazy bots with mechanical hearts. I don't know. Very crazy, crazy stuff. But we have Samuel Jackson now wanting to just take these eyes of these kids and eat them to make them more normal. Okay, there's more stuff to the plot, but this is the big synopsis of this YA story. And did I like this film? This is a two-parter movie for me. I loved the first half, but the second half felt very rushed and just some wooden acting overall when watching this show. So let's talk about the positives. The 3D. This is a very positive and negative effect. I think the 3D, the after effect, because this is going to be a post-production 3D for sure. I really doubt this was filmed with 3D cameras, but I do think some of the post-production work was extremely strong, showing the depth of where, like, Ash Butterfield, what is his name? Ash what? Of, like, where Ozza Butterfield is and Eva Green's character, and seeing that depth in the house when they're going through these loops or these bombs are going off. I think it does work on that element of 3D effect. So when thinking about this and other, I don't know, post-production 3D movies, like maybe 300, the second one, or other ones, this one does look better. I think because it's more still. It's actually, you could take in the scenery, and that doesn't make everything all groggy, if you want to put it that way. I think the first half, the weirdness of it completely works, and Tim Burton takes it to the absolute 10th degree with that. These kids, they're goofy, they're interesting. The costume designs are really fun. The production design, everything about it is dark, especially when you bring in the Nazi elements of these people living in a loop and what the Samuel Jackson character is and what they're willing to do to become normal and how they became the characters in these weird tentacle monsters. It is creepy, it is unique, and it takes that dark Tim Burton-esque YA novel to an umph degree. And one thing about other YA novel books out there, this is the one Tim Burton should have done, and he did do. So when just looking at it, it's technically sound and really fun to look at. Now to talk about the negatives, I think the second half of the movie, or at least where Miss Peregrine, or Eva Green's character, gets kidnapped and the kids have to save her, that's where the story becomes extremely rushed and just becomes very non-Tim Burton-esque and feels very movie studio intertwine-esque style of ending. Like, the whole movie just feels so Tim Burton, except the last 20, 30 minutes. You're like, something just completely changed. It was the tone. It was the way the movie was filmed. It was just, everything just felt very conventional. And Tim Burton's not a conventional filmmaker, so something really happened at transition for the third act of the film. Also, some of the acting by Ozza Butterfield, if I'm saying his name right, felt extremely wooden. Some scenes with him and the girl with the lead, shoes, something's just didn't. The chemistry was completely off. The acting was extremely wooden. Now I was just like, what are we doing? Like, there feels like there's some miscasting or something happened on set where they just don't like each other. I could be completely wrong, but when watching this the first time, something didn't feel right. And also, I feel like some of these kids are not utilized enough, especially the twins with the masks. I want to see more of them. Like, when you finally see them, like, oh, that's badass, but you're like, that's all we get of them? Sad face 101. So overall, Miss Peregrine's, whatever, Home of Particular Children, it is a really fun movie as a YA novel, as what Tim Burton does to it. But the last 30 minutes or the third act of the movie really takes a nosedive, in my opinion. And some of the acting, very, very wooden. So Miss Peregrine's Home for Particular Children will receive a 3 out of 5 with futons. He goes at 60%. We'll see the critics' news scores gave this one. So critics, we have a 64% with 259 of them. Audience score 60%. Wow, with 25,000. Here's critic consensus. Miss Peregrine's Home for Particular Children provides a suitable match for Tim Burton's distinctive style, even if it's on stronger footing as a visual experience than a narrative one. Sure, you could absolutely agree with that, but like I said, the third act to me just really didn't work. 60s, 64. Chase Ock with the Blue Futon. Like, comment, subscribe. Well, another thing is Butontopia. You Blue Futonians, thank you for watching. Have a great day. And I'm one of those people too, like, where are these kids' parents? Like, is there a gene line thing? Or how do they get particular? Like, I'm just curious. Just a curious little boy.